The fire spread faster than I could imagine, devouring everything in its path. Houses, churches, even the mighty St. Paul's. The heat was unbearable. The sky nothing but smoke. London was burning and no one knew how to stop it. I saw it all and lived to write it down. September 2nd, 1666. Jane called us up about 3 in the morning to tell us of a great fire they saw in the city. So I rose and slipped on my nightgown and went to her window and thought it to be on the backside of Mark Lane at the farthest. But being unused to such fires as followed, I thought it far enough off, and so went to bed again and to sleep. About 7, rose again to dress myself, and there looked out the window, and saw the fire not so much as it was, and further off. So to my closet to set things to rights after yesterday's cleaning. By and by, Jane comes and tells me that she hears that above 300 houses have been burned down tonight by the fire we saw, and that it is now burning down all Fish Street by London Bridge. So I made myself ready presently and walked to the tower, and there got up on one of the high places. And there I did see the houses at the end of the bridge all on fire, and an infinite great fire on this and the other side the end of the bridge, which among other people did trouble me, for poor little Mitchell and our Sarah on the bridge. I down to the waterside, and there got a boat, and through bridge, and there saw a lamentable fire. Poor Mitchell's house, as far as the old Swan, already burned that way, and the fire running further, that in very little time it got as far as the steelyard while I was there. Everybody endeavouring to remove their goods, and flinging them into the river, or bringing them into lighters that lay off. Poor people staying in their houses till the very fire touched them, and then running into boats, or clambering from one pair of stairs by the waterside to another. Having stayed, and in an hour's time seen the fire rage every way, and nobody to my sight endeavouring to quench it but to remove their goods, and leave all to the fire, and having seen it get as far as the steelyard, and the wind mighty high, and driving it into the city, and everything after so long a drought proving combustible, even the very stones of churches, and among other things, the poor steeple by which pretty Mrs. lives, and whereof my old schoolfellow Elborough is parson, taken fire in the very top, and there burned till it fell down. I to Whitehall, with a gentleman with me who desired to go off from the tower to see the fire in my boat, to Whitehall, and there up to the King's closet in the chapel, where people come about me, and I did give them an account, dismayed them all, and my word was carried in to the King. So I was called for, and did tell the King and Duke of York what I saw, and that unless His Majesty did command houses to be pulled down, nothing could stop the fire. They seemed much troubled, and the King commanded me to go to my Lord Mayor from him, and command him to spare no houses, but to pull down before the fire every way. September 3rd, 1666. About 4 o'clock in the morning, my Lady Batten sent me a cart to carry away all my money and plate and best things to Sir W. Ryder's at Bednall Green, which I did, riding myself in my nightgown in the cart, and Lord, to see how the streets and the highways are crowded with people running and riding and getting of carts at any rate to fetch away things. Then home, with much ado to find a way. Nor any sleep all this night to me, nor my poor wife. But then and all this day, she and I and all my people labouring to get away the rest of our things. And did get Mr. Tooker to get me a lighter to take them in, and we did carry them, myself some, over Tower Hill, which was by this time full of people's goods, bringing their goods thither, and down to the lighter which lay at next quay above Tower Dock. In the evening, Sir W. Penn and I did dig another, and put our wine in it, and I my Parmesan cheese, as well as my wine and some other things. The Duke of York was at the office this day at Sir W. Penn's, but I happened not to be within. This night, Mrs. Turner, who, poor woman, was removing her goods all this day, into the garden and knows not how to dispose of them, and her husband supped with my wife and I at night in the office, upon a shoulder of mutton from the cook's, without any napkin or anything, in a sad manner, but were merry, only now and then walking into the garden, and saw how horridly the sky looks. All on a fire in the night was enough to put us out of our wits, and indeed it was extremely dreadful, for it looks just as if it was at us, and the whole heaven on fire. September 4th, 1666. Up by break of day to get away the remainder of my things, which I did by a lighter at the iron gate, and my hands so few that it was the afternoon before we could get them all away. Sir W. Penn and I to Tower Street, and there met the fire burning 3 or 4 doors beyond Mr. Howell's, whose goods, poor man, his trays and dishes, shovels, etc., were flung all along Tower Street in the kennels, and people working therewith from one end to the other, the fire coming on in that narrow street on both sides with infinite fury. This afternoon, sitting melancholy with Sir W. Penn in our garden, and thinking of the certain burning of this office without extraordinary means, I did propose for the sending up of all our workmen from Woolwich and Deptford yards, none whereof yet appeared, and to write to Sir W. Coventry to have the Duke of York's permission to pull down houses rather than lose this office, which would much hinder the King's business. At night, lay down a little upon a quilt of W. Hewer's in the office, all my own things being packed up or gone, and after me my poor wife did the like, we having fed upon the remains of yesterday's dinner, having no fire, nor dishes, nor any opportunity of dressing anything. September 5th, 1666. About 2 in the morning, my wife calls me up and tells me of new cries of fire, it being come to Barking Church, which is the bottom of our lane. I, up and finding it so, resolved presently to take her away, and did, and took my gold, which was about £2,350. W. Hewer and Jane down by Proundy's boat to Woolwich, but Lord, what a sad sight it was by moonlight to see the whole city almost on fire, that you might see it plain at Woolwich's if you were by it. I expected to have seen our house on fire, it being now about 7 o'clock, but it was not. But to the fire, and there find greater hopes than I expected, for my confidence of finding our office on fire was such that I durst not ask anybody how it was with us, till I come and saw it not burned. But going to the fire, I find by the blowing up of houses, and the great help given by the workmen out of the King's yards, sent up by Sir W. Penn, there is good stop given to it, as well as at Mark Lane End as ours. September 7th, 1666. Up by 5 o'clock, and blessed be God, find all well, and by water to Paul's Wharf. Walked thence, and saw all the town burned, and a miserable sight of Paul's Church, with all the roofs fallen, and the body of the choir fallen into St. Faith's. Paul's School also, Ludgate and Fleet Street, my father's house and the church, and a good part of the temple the like. So to Creed's lodging near the New Exchange, and there find him laid down upon a bed, the house all unfurnished, there being fears of the fires coming to them. There borrowed a shirt of him, and washed. To Sir W. Coventry at St. James, who lay without curtains, having removed all his goods, as the King at Whitehall and everybody had done, and was doing. He hopes we shall have no public distractions upon this fire, which is what everybody fears, because of the talk of the French having a hand in it.